You queens ready?
One ready.
Alemana, you ready? All right. But it wouldn't be a queen get together without some mimosas.
Yes.
I wonder if I have anybody who could help serve these amazing, beautiful, awesome, outstanding, intelligent boss queens.
Anybody else?
Thank you. That's Jay Gonzalez and Taka Georgie.
It's always nice to be served by a man.
Okay.
Good
You guys look like y'all done that before. Gracias, papi chulo. Tan bello. Alex, don't hate, bro. I love you.
Sorry.
All right, so let's get this party started. Salud. Thank you.
Salud.
All right, so this is how we're gonna do this. Yes, facts. Everybody who's watching us from your casa, thank you for sticking around and joining us. Basically, this was gonna be the format. The two of us have gotten together and we have 3 questions that are burning holes in our hearts.
Big holes.
And we're hoping you can enlighten us with your wisdom. And then we're gonna open it up to these beautiful people and anybody online.
Yes.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
You ladies ready? We're gonna start here. You're gonna answer first, so the first question. Second question, you answering first. Third question, you answering first. Fourth question, you answering first. Okay, you get it? It's like a
by the end,
cool.
Bobby.
We're good. That's our You want to start off? You want to answer the first question?
Okay, so with the first question that we have, ladies, if you had one thing that you could say to a social male dancer, what would it be? And would you say the same thing or something different to a pro male dancer? Anything. Any one thing.
This is my question.
Yes. I mean, it's everybody.
Everybody's going to answer, but you go first. You go first.
I have one word, actually. It's not just one thing. I have one word. Empathy.
Yeah, that's good.
See?
Empathy.
She's just started the mimosas too. I mean,
You gotta
wait till that second mimosa, girl.
Yeah, that's one sip. That's how I do on one sip. We're back there talking about how we should have rehearsed our feminist quotes before. I only got one word. I memorized one word. It's empathy. I think it's a concept that is really important for lead and follow. For us, I think at this level, it's very obvious why. But for a beginner social dancer, I think there's a lot to think about. There's a lot that makes a person self-conscious, obviously. But the same way that we need empathy as humans to understand everybody else's condition, we need it even more so when we're social dancing. Lead and follow is not really an accurate concept for what we do. We're really connecting as human beings. I think we forget that a lot. It's such, we do such a gendered dance, so we're thinking one person has one job, the other person has another job. Inside, we're all just trying to connect as human beings. I don't think I would say something different to a professional dancer. I think a professional dancer through their journey, if they want to be successful, are going to do it through empathy, maybe in different ways, but it's always going to be through empathy.
That's beautiful, yeah. You're up.
Before we get to the next question, Atoy, I really am fascinated by the concept of your perspective of not necessarily being the lead and follow. What words would you use to describe the relationship between the two dancers?
It's communication, essentially. I know we see it as very restrictive. One person is talking, the other person is listening, but any good lead will tell you that he or she is trying to get a read on what their partner needs. Right? We're all saying that and feeling that in some way, but we've got these really limited terms to call what we do, lead and follow. I struggle with it in my school as well, how to call out these roles. Leader and follower is even worse because it means that's who we are. And it really isn't. It's really what we're doing in this particular moment, and even that in itself as a concept is very limited.
Well, thank you, because I'm gonna have to pin that one. We're gonna have to do a whole episode on that
Yes.
subject, because that was
Yes,
good,
we
girl.
will. That was really
You just blew my mind, but then you opened up a bunch of problems for my mind. So we're gonna have to go back to that one.
Come back to me when I'm finished with this.
Bianca, you have one thing you can say to a social dancer, and only one thing you can say to a professional. It might be the same thing, or it might be two different things. Go.
To a social dancer, I would definitely say be extremely respectful, not only to women on the dance floor, but to men as well, regardless of what gender you are. I kind of want to say two things right now.
Go for it.
One, I mean, the first thing is the same thing that I would say to a social dancer, but as a professional, I would definitely say talk to anyone, whether they're in your school or not, if you're at a social, about etiquette. Because a lot of people that dance for fun look up to the professionals, and if we as professionals start talking about etiquette and how important it is, hopefully it'll really resonate, thank you, with others.
Thank you. That was nice. Miss Candy.
Yes. Hello. If I had one thing to say, this is a Queen edition, but I'm actually going to quote a man, a very wise man, Mr. Eddie Torres. And he says, whether it's social dancing or on stage, the man is the frame and the lady is the picture. Plain and simple. You're there to make the woman comfortable, enjoy the dance, whether you're on stage or on the dance floor. The woman has to feel comfortable, and just the man as well. But again, man is the frame, the lady is the picture. And I 100% agree with him.
Thank you.
Oh damn, she got her own mic.
That is not your mic, girl. Well, it is right now, for right now, but not the whole time.
Hi guys. This is so great. First of all, thank you for inviting us and having this and hosting us. You guys are wonderful for that. And these answers are so poignant and so valid. Empathy is a huge thing. And to a social dancer, I just would say, I got stuff to do tomorrow, so don't be breaking my back. For real. And I mean, we talk about this all the time amongst ourselves. So, like you talk about consent on stage during the shows, it's really important to talk about how you went upstairs 4 times to have 3 shots of Ruga. You gonna come downstairs at 4 in the morning and try to lift my heavy ass? That I don't understand. I cannot, you know, the way that my health insurance is set up.
Know thyself. Know thyself.
Listen, and the floor is slippery, like, you're trying to lift me, you're trying to, like, do all of these crazy things. Just be, like, let's just chill and vibe at 4 in the morning after 5 shots of Ruga. So that's what I would say to the social dancer. He or she, man, woman, it, they, whatever your pronoun is, be careful with people after you've been drinking. And I think that's what it is. And a male pro dancer, what would I tell them? Well, you know, I got a unicorn of a male pro dancer. That's my capital I. And I would just say that he is a true example of someone who shares the spotlight and shares the stage and shares admiration and shares the mic during the workshops, because this is one thing that I have a lot of things to say, but you know what? Because a lot of the times the workshops are so male-driven, and the guy has a mic and he hardly says anything about the followers or the other person communicating, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, the follower needs to know what they're doing too. They need some pointers out there from the female or the instructor, you know, because they have stuff to say too. They studied, they've been doing this a long time, right? And so they got stuff to say. So share.
Facts.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Desiree.
How do I follow that? Why do you make me go last?
Okay.
again, thank you guys. This is wonderful and we need more of this. Not just women, but communication, talking. So for the social dancer, I suppose I would say read our body language. Also, just, I'll do one word as well, consent. We have to remember that everything that we're doing on the dance floor, just because you are the lead and I'm the follow, which goes along with what Atoy was saying, that doesn't mean that just because I said yes to dancing with you means I want to do every move that you're throwing at me. I don't necessarily want to do a dip, I don't necessarily want to jump in the air, I don't necessarily want to be manipulated. And the thing that gets confusing, I think, in social dancing is that it also goes to what Rudy was talking about last night, not necessarily specifically with my romantic partner, but maybe I'm dancing with someone who I feel a lot more comfortable with, who I've danced with before, and you see me doing a move with them, that doesn't mean I want to do it with you. So you have to read my body language, and if I have a very strong frame, that usually means something. Pay attention, and don't be offended if I don't want to dip with you. It is what it is. It's communication, just like we were saying. That goes for pros, non-pros, anyone. You'll have a much more enjoyable dance if you read each other, right? And then don't forget about the music. Listen to the music, not just the timing, but listen to the music. And then the pro dancer, I would say, can I say two things? We're all saying two things.
Go for it.
Nobody tells the queen.
You ain't better than anybody else. Come on, dance, 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 dance. Men, women, I don't care who you are. Don't forget why you're here. Don't forget how you started. Why you started? I feel like most of us started because we love social dancing, so don't forget that part and stop thinking that you're better than everyone else and that you don't need to, like, we were all beginners and we all appreciated that person that was better than us, that danced with us and made us feel comfortable and listened to our body language, so do that. And then don't abuse your position of power because you have a little bit of fame, you look good, you know how to dress, you have nice perfume, you did a cute little Susie Q on stage, and people are excited by that, which is great, congratulations.
Amen.
Yes, don't abuse that power for a lot of things. You know, don't abuse that power. I'll stop it there, I can keep going on that.
We got at least 10 new episodes already from just this first question. We hope some of you will join us virtually for some of these other segments. All right, let's go on to our next. Thank you. I'm learning a lot, and I hope everyone in the audience is paying attention to this. Anybody, whether you're a lead, follow, male, female, we can all learn from everything that's being said. All right, so the next question is, what advice would you give to a semi-professional or professional woman who has to change partners or even has to go solo? So this question now, the first person would be Bianca. You will answer this one first.
I would definitely say just keep focusing on yourself, always, whether you're with a partner or not. Constantly focus on yourself, work hard, and be confident. Don't ever let anyone else bring you down, okay? The words that they say, their actions, just echo that.
Echo that.
Thank you.
To a semi-professional that has to change partners or go solo, never stop learning. Continue to train, continue to study, to make sure you have your history, not just on the dance, but the music, everything, the culture. And don't be afraid. Actually, as hard as solos may sound, it's actually easier because they don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Facts. Fake it till you make it. And if you do make a mistake, do the mistake so good that everybody really believes that you are right and everybody else around you is wrong. I say it to my dance team all the time. And just don't be afraid to do it. Go for it. Don't be afraid to change partners. Changing partners actually makes you a stronger dancer. believe it or not. You get used to one person all the time. I'm sure at one point you can follow them blindly, put a blindfold on and do anything they want you to do, but if you switch up partners and have fun and change around, trust me, it's gonna make you a stronger dancer and follower at the end of the day.
This is for
Oh, I forgot, I keep forgetting she has her own mic.
Semi or pro.
Okay. I would say can't stop, won't stop. If you don't let anybody knock your hustle. If you love it, no one can take that away from you. And like Candy said, let your starlight shine. You know, it is hard to sometimes find a partner or find a partner that clicks with you, and but you can learn from all of your experiences and all of your dance partners, even if it's what you don't want. You're like, you know what, I was with this guy and I know that I don't want to go through that again. And I came out on the other side, so here's to new ventures. Or do like Madonna or Janet and switch it up. Maybe you start dancing bachata, you start dancing kizomba, I don't know. Or let's see, just don't stop, you know, and you'll find it in the process. You will find somebody. Or you just dance by yourself, which is great too. And people can really, you know, no one can tell you what to do. So yeah, just keep going.
Thank you.
Yes. Keep training, never stop training. I mean, whether you're with a partner or not. I to this day say that if the day that I stop training, I hope people stop training with me, because if I'm not committed to my growth and my learning, then why should my students be committed to me? So keep training, and I think that this goes back to what we were talking about again, where in this community, I think that the way it's set up, where generally speaking the leads are male, it tends to dominate the community in that way, where if a female is left without a partner, it tends to be much more difficult for them to continue, or so we think. So don't stop. Don't let that get in your head. Keep training, keep pushing. Just because you don't have a partner doesn't mean that you can't create something on your own. And push the boundaries, right? We have to change the community. The only one that can change the community are ourselves. So don't let that get in your head, and it might be the best thing that ever happened to you. So keep pushing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't stop.
Mr. Toy.
I'm guessing this is a situation where a person, a woman, is compelled to make a change.
Right. Yes.
I've been in this situation. It's very, very hard. So I would say, know your worth. This is a moment for potential empowerment. It's a moment of change. So it's a time when we can make better decisions for ourselves, and we can also become more independent. It's a very, very hard time in this industry when we are so dependent on our partners as follows, when we have to give up a long-term partnership and we have to face this world alone. We have to see that moment as a potential moment of empowerment. This is a time where we really have to know ourselves, and we have to know what we deserve. We have to know who we want to be, and we have to say yes to the right situations and no to the wrong ones. Now, I say that with some caution, because we often put the responsibility for women's lives in their own hands, and on the other side, I think you would understand it better if I say, we blame women when things go wrong. We blame women when they're in bad relationships, when they're in bad partnerships, when they get abused, when they don't do something about that. So when I say know your worth, I don't mean that it's all on you to do the right thing for you. Sometimes we face violence when we try to do the right things for ourselves. So I'm gonna also say, find an advocate. Find someone who can advocate for you. Find an activist, someone who can take action on your behalf. And find your support group, those people that are gonna lift you up when you really need it, because we can't do this alone.
That's good. That's good. You wanna add anything to say about that question?
That's why I answer all the questions for us, please. I love it.
There's one thing I want to add on that, or just touch base, go back to what Bianca was saying in terms of not quitting it out there, and really the finding the advocate and the not doing the wrong thing or rushing into thing. And I think patience is really key, because what I've noticed is sometimes when someone doesn't have a partner, out of desperation, they get the next partner's wrong. And don't be scared to take your time, because the last thing you want to do is get a partner, 6 months a new partner, 6 months a new partner, 6 months a new partner. So from the business side and the marketing, production, and promoter angle, knowing your worth, there's plenty of amazing soloists that can be hired, and definitely go that route first before you jump into a bad partnership. I think that would be something I would say. All right, what's the next question?
Okay, so, well, the last question for us, I'll open it up to everybody, and this is really one of my favorite questions. What would be your opinion on the stereotypical dancer body? And do you feel it's a double standard for body types? Like, let's say if there's a costume on one body type that's maybe a little bit more slender, and that same costume were to be on somebody that's more curvy, do you feel there is a double standard with that?
Absolutely.
Get it, girl.
Girl, take a break. Take your time, girl. Take a draw. She needs some more. Oh, hold on. We got VIP service, girl. We got VIP service.
Bueno, coming from personal experience, gracias. Coming from personal experience myself, going from a size 0, going up to a certain weight, after having children, or for whatever reason I gained the weight. There's just people that are so judgmental. Unfortunately, regardless of why I gained the weight or why I still have a passion for dance. I still have a passion to teach. I still have a passion for the Latin community. I still have a passion for the culture. So why judge anyone to be on stage at whatever weight, as long as they have that passion to be on stage? I never understood why judge anyone. Oh, but look at her, and it's really more towards women. It happens more towards women, and unfortunately, it comes from women.
Yeah.
You're still beautiful, Mama.
Thank you. I think the support on women should start from women. Us women should not be putting each other down. Oh, look at her, she's pregnant. Why? Us women need to start supporting each other, and trust me, the men will follow us.
Man, thank you.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a bias there between men being overweight or carrying more weight than women, and women are definitely more critiqued for it. There's so much to say.
Do it.
So much to say that, I've never been a 0, okay? So we'll start there. Growing up, I've danced all my life, and I've always been, I'm big boned. But I just was filled with the Spirit. And, I never let those things kind of get to me. Now I grew up before social media, so that's like a whole different thing where you get unsolicited opinions about your weight or your costumes. I do think it's different, because me wearing leather jeggings or leather pants looks a whole lot different than someone that's a size 0, because I got a lot of cushion for the pushing. And I think it does look different. It's so hard. But and then you know, just talking about body image in general, just having a baby, and then you see people who snap back so quick, but that's the way their jeans are set up, and my big mama jeans are not set up like that. So, you know, my costume, I know it's really hard. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it needs to stop. I think we need to uplift each other. And I think what needs to happen is just for people just to continue to have the confidence that they love themselves. If they're happy with their bodies, then yeah, you know, I think.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
It's hard. I struggle.
The thing is that we all struggle, and it really has absolutely nothing to do with what you look like. I think it's a bias and a double standard in a lot of different levels and facets. Definitely, men and women are not put on the same level in terms of how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to physically train their bodies for what we do. I think personally that it's about what you do. You know, you train for what you do. For example, being a cabaret dancer, I have been told by every single, and I may get a lot of pushback on this, but like 90% of the people that I've danced with to lose weight as a cabaret dancer. And this is my body. And I'm not big, I'm not tiny, I'm not big, and it's been told to me. So I think that you need to find in yourself what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel good physically, emotionally, psychologically, what makes you feel confident. And then you need to just work and train. Train the dancing that you want to do. If you want to be a cabaret dancer, train what you need to train in order to accomplish that, and find a partner that's willing to train as well and willing to train lifting you, not just expecting you to be 5 pounds. A lot of that is technique, a lot of that is strength.
It's true, work out.
It's true, work out, lift me more. I mean, it's tough because I don't know, I think maybe it's a very difficult conversation because also what we do is a sport. It can be, it doesn't have to be. I think there's lots of different styles within Latin dance, which is what makes Latin dance so beautiful. One, it's a street dance, and two, it has also evolved to beyond that. And so I think that you need to be clear with yourself about where you want to be in that spectrum. And I know this probably isn't the answer a lot of us wanted to hear. I think it's two-sided, right? You have to feel good with yourself as a woman and also as a dancer, and it has to apply to what you do. I also have to be realistic. If I want to continue being lifted in the air, I have to take care of my body physically because it's a lot of fucking work.
I see it.
We're live.
Oh, no,
We're not PBS, it's okay.
Yeah, we triple X here, girl.
Yeah, but I also think that we need to really work on like the same standards need to apply to our partners, right? You need to be on the same page with your partner, and hey, maybe we work out together, or I don't know. But I think that confidence is really important, period, if you're putting yourself on stage. And a lot of that comes from vulnerability and being vulnerable enough to be real with yourself and real with your audience, because that's how you are going to come across on stage. And when it comes to costumes, I think that costumes can look crazy no matter what your body looks like, so just make sure you get a cute costume.
Yeah.
I don't know, work on that.
Facts.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give up the lights.
That is not your microphone. That is a community microphone.
It's now the drunk microphone. We have collective alcohol exposure on this microphone. Body image is a really, really tough issue. But we have to think of it as, it's a systematic viewpoint. It's not something that is natural, actually. Let's challenge ourselves the way we think about it. This is not a natural way of thinking that women have to do. Think of all the things that we did tonight to get here and how long it took, head to toe, all the things that we had to do. and the very few things that our male partners have to do before they get, like we have this joke, like we need an hour and a half, 2 hours to get ready, and our dudes like take a nap. And they get up 5 minutes before showtime, they put on their clothes, they run
That's
off.
true, George. Unless you're George, then.
It's not a natural thing, guys. Good point.
He still takes longer than we've ever.
Maybe we can think about it this way so that we can take it a little bit out of dance. But like when we have a presidential candidate that is a woman, everybody's commenting on what she's wearing. She's running for president of the United States, and we're commenting on what she's wearing. And we listen to the male candidates. What are they saying? What are they doing? What's their history? It's a lot more profound. Why are we doing this? We didn't come up with this ourselves. This is a systematic way of thinking, and it's called the patriarchy. I'm going to say this with no apology. Fuck the patriarchy. If she can say it, you can say it. Yeah, another thing that women just gotta get over is apologizing. No apologizing. So I'm not gonna apologize. It's not right. It's not right. And when you start thinking about it, women, it's so hard to let go. It's so hard to let go of all the things that we were taught we need to be. For all our education, for all our insight, for all our feminism. I look at you, Bianca, tonight, and I think you're gorgeous. I just want to be you sometimes. I just want to look like you sometimes. And it's hard to resist. But why? Right. She's saying I need to be myself. If you couldn't hear that, yes, I need to be myself. We all need to be ourselves. And it doesn't mean that beauty doesn't exist. That's important. Sometimes when you're going down the rabbit hole of feminism, you're like I started, I'm not gonna paint my nails. I stopped painting my nails like 3 or 4 years ago. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money I saved. Then I was like, I'm not gonna paint my toenail, or I'm not gonna do some things, little things that I let go. I start feeling really shaky each time. And then you start thinking, well, why do I do anything? But it doesn't mean that beauty doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to want to be beautiful. It doesn't mean that you can't look at someone and say, I think that person is beautiful. If we think sunsets are beautiful, beauty exists. All that is okay, it's human, it's natural, but when it becomes imposing, when it brings a woman to the brink of suicide, because she doesn't feel good about how she looks, and she was taught that her only worth is how she looks, you have to ask yourself, why do we do that? So I'm just gonna take a broad stance and say, I don't care about the costumes. I don't care about people's bodies. We're here to dance, and we're here to create beauty with what we do. Yes, this is a performance art. Some people make the argument that this is a performance art, therefore it's visual, therefore you should look good. But we're not just standing here. We are moving, we're communicating, we're creating, and all those things make beauty.
Amen. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
That was,
What was the question again?
yeah, well, I was thinking the same thing, and then I was kind of just like, I kind of want to just talk about us doing what the hell we want. You know, it's like, if you want to go to a social in sneakers, go to a social in sneakers. If you want to wear your hair straight, wear your hair straight. If you want to wear it curly, wear it curly. Do what you want to do. You know, I feel like, and it's not even only in the Latin dance community, hip hop, television, actors, actresses, long hair, colored, the makeup, the little outfits, dresses, and stuff like that. If you don't want to wear it, don't wear it. And if you do want to wear it, wear it. Okay? Regardless of what you're doing, wear it proud. Yeah, I don't know. I'm super about doing what you want to do. And I go to the store in my sweatpants, my hoodie, and my hair.
She does.
I do. And if you don't want to do your nails, don't do your nails. You know, you have to just feel confident. in yourself, and the more confident you're gonna feel with the, like, you look in the mirror and you're like, this is good, this is what I want, this is how I feel today, I'm gonna dress the way I feel. I'm gonna go out and just do me. Always do you.
Thank you. Anything you want to say about that?
No, I mean, that's a lot of stuff, but that was amazing, and I've been waiting so long to have these conversations because I think it's so important, especially with this last question, and I'll just add my own pieces. You know, we've seen the comments online about ourselves, about each other, you know, and you start off a certain way, and for whatever reason, you don't even have to have a reason to gain weight. You just like food. I like food. I like carbs, and I will eat the carbs if I want. And I don't like the gym that much, so too bad. And George loves me, you know. But I will say, just like Candy said, you know, those type of comments, unfortunately, come from women of all ages. And it is because that's what we've been taught, like, we need to look a certain way, we need to be perfect, we need to do this, and if we fall out of line, we're not worthy anymore. And then, you know, unfortunately, I mean, it does happen, you know, and I'll just say this for people that do get comments, if you're a performer, don't listen to it. I know it's hard not to, I know it's hard not, I don't even read the comments anymore. And some of them, they just happen to fall in the line of when I'm reading them, and you just gotta laugh about it, or also maybe feel sorry for the other person, because hurt people hurt people. That's the biggest thing, right? If you're happy with yourself, you're not gonna talk trash about somebody else. So that's the one thing you have to keep in mind. If somebody's talking negatively to you, either to your face or about you, to somebody else or about you online, just understand it is coming from a hurt place, and all you really need to do is just have empathy for those people, as opposed to, you know, trying to fight back. And commenting back does not help. Trust me, I tried it before. It doesn't work. It just keeps going on being negative. So thank you, ladies, for that. That was really a question that I wanted to talk about.
Amen. I think the main thing for me is, you know, I'm going to just speak to the gentleman here, and that is, I have to check myself all the time, because there definitely is an internal double standard that goes on. And when you're telling a woman, oh, look how you look. Hey, well, how do you look, player? You know what I mean? Like, it has to go both ways, and I think we have to always, when we speak, gentlemen, always remember that the way we want to be treated is the way we need to treat anybody, regardless of gender, sex, or orientation. But specifically when it comes to this subject, in terms of body shaming, it's very easy as a man to say, well, no, I'm the man, so, you know, I just gotta be funny or whatever, and, you know, strong, but the woman gotta be cute, tight, or whatever. No, whatever you want from her is maybe what she wants from you, and just keep it a buck and keep it equal. That's the main thing that I would just like to add to the guys. I don't want to try to add to this because it's just too good to be, you know, anything to be added onto it. All right, so you guys ready for the audience, for the live stream, and for the audience? We have some questions. We're gonna start first.
Anybody need a refill?
What was that?
Anybody need a refill?
Anybody? Yeah, that's good time for refills. Hold up. While they're getting refilled, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go into the audience. For anybody in the audience who wants to ask a question, you're gonna raise your hand. I'm gonna run to you. But first, we're gonna start with our live stream, and whoever's handling our IG stream, get 1 or 2 questions from that ready. And then the questions will be just anybody. So not everybody has to answer them. If you don't feel like answering it, or you do, whatever.
If you feel compelled.
Do you, honey, boo boo chow? Okay. So we're gonna start with Tony Goen. What is the biggest thing you look for in a dance partner? So anybody who wants to start, feel free.
I just want to be with someone I can vibe with. I want to be chill, you know? Because yeah, the choreography, the practicing, we want everything to be, in a sense, not perfect, but see our work grow. But it's really hard to do that when you don't vibe with someone that you're dancing with.
Anybody else?
For myself, when I look for in a partnership is an equal partnership. This is not about you, this is not about me, this is about us. And how we are gonna grow as a team And someone who's not afraid to share everything with me. Someone who's ready to grow with me, not against me.
Yeah, I would say work ethic is huge. If you're not willing to put in as much work as I am, or work at all, if you expect it to just kind of come to you, then it's definitely not going to work out. And then respect and humility are super important for me.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else want to add, or?
All right, we'll do one more live stream and then we'll take it to the audience. A good friend of ours, I'm thinking, from Chicago, Kimberly Rivera.
Yes, girl. Love you, girl.
Moses with that.
We're gonna have to do a Chicago edition of this. What advice do you have for impressionable, new young dancers when it comes to meeting their idols?
I don't idolize them. I'm sorry.
Lo dijo.
Male, woman, I don't care. Stop idolizing. It's like this whole celebrity culture just makes no sense to me personally. I think that it's beautiful to respect artistry and hard work and talent, and to look up to that, but they're human, just like you, so just be human. I don't know.
So it's more like not worship that person, but more so like you can still have them as a role model.
Oh my gosh,
and look
yes,
up to
role
them, but
model,
don't, like,
all of
worship
that.
them.
I think the word idolize is really, it's peligroso. It's risky, because that means you're putting them to an above human standard, and that's ridiculous. Like, it's not only dangerous for the person doing the idolizing, but for the person that you're putting up on that pedestal, where it's like, it's just unattainable and unhealthy for both parties. So I think, don't forget that they're human, just like you. You can admire their work and you can share that with them, but don't be intimidated. If they're a jerk to you when you approach them, then that's their problem.
Yeah.
To add on to that, though, not a jerk so much per se. Not a jerk so much per se, but like you were saying, when you are flying to across the world on a red-eye flight, you come off the plane at 7 o'clock in the morning, you get to the hotel. I'm not a morning person. Then someone comes up to you, or someone asks you to dance when you're eating, and they love you, but you're eating, and then you almost choke because they're pulling you to dance. I mean, but we're human, right? And I have, moods that I'm in, and I have, I get sick. Or maybe after the 15th dance, I'm trying to catch my breath, and so there's circumstances where you might catch somebody not at a good time, right? But they still probably, would love to talk to you or respect you, have a conversation or about anything, or dance with you. Yes, I think that's the most important thing, that everybody is human and not to really put them on the pedestal. That's really important. And like you said, role models. Some people that are famous or popular don't want to be role models, I know a lot of celebrities say that, or shouldn't be, because, our lives now are so public, through social media and our stories, we're posting. And we're really dancers, so sometimes the personal lives get crossed with the dance life, and then, you can really pop somebody's bubble when you find out what kind of real life person they are off the dance floor. So if you just keep it, wow, they're a really good dancer. That's good.
Anybody else? All right, do we have anyone in the audience with a question? Yes, sir. Your name?
Paul. Hi, so I've been dancing, yeah, sure. So I've been dancing salsa like 3 years, and in this world of salsa, I've seen so many exciting things happen. Including in how I see it is very female-led things. It's also exciting with armies and bachata performances, girls, and everything. It's also exciting, and we're seeing where the state of it all is in the industry. I'm wondering, where would you guys want it to grow even further?
That's a nice one.
I wanted to say something when we were talking about hypothetically a woman who has to transition or possibly transition into a solo career. One thing I would love to see is more room, more space for women to work solo. So this is my 17th year now in the industry, and you can take a good guess as to what my age is.
21. Always.
Started when I was 4. Throughout my career, I was always compared to the other main woman in the industry. And I often even get mixed up with someone, you might know who she is. Like, really? Just because there's 2 of us who are kind of brown but not Latino, we're the same person. But it's beyond that. It's not just that we look alike or remind people of each other, but it's the idea that there's only room for one of us, or a couple of us, or we can only fill one niche each. The token girl, not even a woman, the token girl in the industry. There can only be one leader of an army of bad bitches. So I would like to see more spaces, and this might be more pertinent to organizers, but I think audience members also can ask themselves and ask others why there's only 1 or 2 representatives, women who are working alone and doing things without a partner. That'd be amazing.
Anybody else?
Any other?
No, any of the queens want to? Y'all need to hold up and let these queens take their time and answer the question if they
But
want to.
that's not just for performers. Like Rudy said, that's for MCs and DJs and promoters. There's a lot of roles in this Latin dance scene besides just traveling artists, right? So yeah, more space, more room, not just one example of a woman holding things down.
We good?
Can I also say equal pay?
Amen. Can I also mention, start the conversation with both parties, no matter what the conversation is. If it's a partnership, start the conversation with both parties. And if it doesn't happen, I don't know, to help that out. Because
Is that from like a promoter standpoint?
yeah,
Like a
from a
promoter to talk
promoter
to both?
standpoint, because sometimes things may not happen that way, and the other party isn't, really aware that a conversation is even happening. Sometimes there are multiple conversations happening that
So,
group chat.
if I can interject,
Please.
and
Alex, you are not on stage. Alex is not on stage. But both people need to sign the contract. Both people need to be in the WhatsApp chat. You need to know what's going on with your business. Don't let anybody.
And we also have last names. It's not just the men that have last names.
Yes.
Aye.
So
And
inclusion and space.
partner. We're not so-and-so's partner. Oh my God, how many times have we introduced as so-and-so's partner?
I think you just open it up there, bro. Open it up. Let's get that. Thank you.
oh, that's good. That's good.
Thanks,
So,
Paul.
what I would like to say, and I think it's important in terms of empowerment, and going back to one of the earlier comments, is it's important that as a equal partner in the relationship, you queens stand up for yourselves and you tell your partner, hey, I'm handling this contract as well. Or you take the initiative to contact the promoter, because sometimes the promoter doesn't know. Sometimes the promoter is like, okay, this is the representative that you sent to me, so this is the person I'm going to speak with. So it's important for the females in these relationships to take initiative and be proactive and say, I want to handle this next one, or make sure you CC me on all the emails, or as the request was, make sure both of our signatures are on the contract. I think that would go a long way to help this, but there's definitely, as promoters and as men, And even women, we also need to do what you're saying and take into consideration that the partnership is two people and not just go to one person.
So going back to the question of what you look for in a dance partner, good communication is another thing I'm gonna add.
Just want to throw that out there.
And not
All right,
being shady.
I saw some hands over here. Yes, okay. So 1, 2, and 3.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex, I'm the unicorn. Also partners with the girl who can't stop talking in the green. Welcome to my world, that's right. So this is a two-part question for the ladies. What has been the most difficult, or still is the most difficult challenge that you have to face in this Latin Dance Network? And do you feel like there's something that you can do to change it?
Since I talk so much, I'm gonna let somebody else answer first.
They're so cute.
All right, I'll start. I'll open up the can of worms. Equality is probably one of the most difficult things I've had a challenge with. And I'm gonna connect it to the previous question as what I would like to see more is the woman's name first. Why is it always...
George, I'm changing it. It's Alemana X El Tiguere now. That's it. The next 10 years,
Why is it Alemana? Why isn't it Alemana X? I mean, why is it, you know, you go to Europe, it's actually the woman's name first. As here as, you know, Americans in the United States, it's always the man's name first. But I would love to see it changed around as to the woman's name first and then the man's name. But the biggest challenge is equality. And I've been in the business a very long time, and it's been a struggle since day one. And I have changed partners, and I have done solos, and I have done groups, but still finding that equality, regardless if I'm just in a solo situation or in a partnership. And respect. The respect has also been, you know, a huge challenge, not just from men, promoters, male, female, whatever it may be. The respect has also been a challenge. And putting my foot down, and you may consider me a bitch for it, and I really don't care. But you're gonna respect me. And that's really where it starts. You have to put your foot down. You have to say, no, you have to be okay with not being hired. Okay, you don't want to hire me? I'll stay home with my husband and kids. Thank you.
Drop the mic.
Anybody else?
I got both of my.
Oh!
What is happening?
I want to say, I had the word in my brain like 2 seconds ago, and now it's gone. Not making assumptions. I feel like so many people make assumptions. I personally get a lot, she looks like a bitch. And I'm like, okay, but you don't know me, and I don't know you. So, or I do understand that I always have like a blandish face, but that doesn't mean that I'm in a bad mood. I could actually be in a very,
It's not
very
bland.
good.
You have a very beautiful face, yeah.
Thank you. Not face, but like my expression sometimes is just very bland.
That's your face.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
resting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Resting bitch face.
But facts, though. Just a resting face.
Alemana got me the
It's
best shirt, by the way. Yeah, so people just make so many assumptions that I'm either just too cold or too mean. And I'm just the type of person, I'm very blunt. You know, if I have something to say, I'm gonna say it. In a respectful manner. And if someone's being disrespectful towards me, I'm not gonna hold back. You know? I'm gonna say what I have to say. Yeah, that's personally my biggest struggle. So sometimes I get a lot of, hi, how are you? And that's it. You know? Or hey, and that's it. I walk away. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm good, I'm chilling, I'm happy. So.
Go for it.
I'm not sure if this relates exactly to your question, but it kind of goes back to the equality issue, where it's, and the double standard issue as well, where I think that in this community, and probably in other dance communities and professional communities, artistic communities, we tend to think that the men have all of the knowledge in the partnership. And it's happened to me several times already where I am getting hired for a gig on my own, and they think all I can teach is lady styling. But the thing is, I find it very common in a lot of partnerships that a lot of times the females actually have a lot more knowledge than the males in dance in general. And so I would like to see a lot more trust in our knowledge, our training, our abilities to teach and educate other dancers. I know how to teach a partner work class, I'm sorry. I've been teaching partner work since I started dancing, basically, since longer than I've been teaching footwork. So I think I would just like to not be judged by the fact that I have a vagina, that I can't teach partner work. So yeah, equality.
Would you say, going in line with that, that us females would have to be more proactive on that when, like, let's say talking to a promoter, you know,
Yes.
putting that in the contract, hey, this is what I teach, and this is what I want to teach.
100%. So for example, I'll share a situation that just happened to me recently where I had a gig. Originally, I was going to take a partner, and it turned out that I was unable to take that partner, so I had to go alone, and we were renegotiating the contract, and in that contract, I was going to be teaching a partner work class with that partner. And the person I was negotiating with mentioned, oh, well, you know, my community, it's a small community, and they're not very receptive to just one female instructor. Our males just won't show up to the class. And I was like, okay, well, are you gonna give it a chance? Because I know how to teach partner work. I've been doing it for like 10 plus years. And it just really struck me. And so we ended up negotiating where I had to teach that partner work class with another professional male that was there. And I made it very clear to him, I was like, look, this is my class. Thank you for assisting me, I'm gonna pay you. They ended up paying him. It was a whole thing, and I definitely put my foot down, and I shared my frustration. But at the end of the day, they were like, well, you wanna teach the class or not? You gotta teach it with a dude. And it was really frustrating. I shared my frustration. It ended up working out really well. People loved the class, but yeah, I don't know how we can change that other than baby step by baby step.
Well, I think
that's a good fight.
if I could interject, I think that's important what you just said in terms of baby steps. I wish there was a magic wand that we could wave and tomorrow, or right this second, excuse me, we'd have perfect equality and the world would be a better place in all types of injustices that are occurring. But unfortunately, that's not reality. So how do we get to our goals? How do we achieve them? And they are through baby steps. And I'm really happy to hear the way you handle that situation, because what could have happened is somebody say, well, I'm not going unless I teach the partner work class. And I think sometimes we have to keep in mind that there is a financial component to this whole thing. And a promoter can't just say, oh, then I'll risk not making money or just losing money because you want to tell me how to do my thing. But the way you handle things is excellent, and that is, all right, I'll do it, but then maybe while you're there, tell your assistant, hey, I'm gonna do this next 4 bars and I'm gonna show everybody here what I can do, and grab a follow in the audience and say, hey, give me 5 minutes, and boom, and then, or maybe even do the recording afterwards where it's just you and a follow, and on the video, they wouldn't know that you had an assistant throughout the whole class, and that shows, oh wow, this person just taught an amazing partner work by themselves, and it looks good. So that's just something to consider on how to answer your last question in terms of how do we make the change, and that's not being too stringent in the change happening right away, where you can't take those baby steps to nudge things in the right direction. There are some things, though, gentlemen, that need to stop immediately, and that is that no means no, and we stop objectifying women.
Yes.
You don't need a baby step for that. When she says no, just stop. Don't grab anybody that you don't know that ain't yours. Like, that stuff I'm not talking about. But there's definitely some systemic things that are going to take some time to get there. We have time for 2 more questions, but no, we'll let the queens finish this question, but I see some people getting antsy in the audience wanting to ask questions, so I'll let the queens finish this last question, and then we'll do 2 more questions, 1 more from the audience, and then 1 from our IG page.
I was gonna say, really quick. One thing that I'm just not feeling right now about the social dance scene is just how much people want to video every social dance. I'm not feeling that because I want to enjoy, and sometimes when there's lots of cameras, I know that we want our social media, our IG pages to be popping, but I'm like, can't we just, like, me and you do this right quick? Like, and feel the song together without, like, you just shoving the camera in my face, or especially when my makeup is like all over my face. Maybe that's when I need to change my setting spray or something, or like just take my makeup off, because I swear every video I'm looking like this, my lashes like this. So, you know, I think maybe sometimes we can just like enjoy and let, you know, Mavo and Winston video for us, and Social Dance TV, they can video, but like all the every 5 seconds.
Desiree, excuse me, I'm not trying to interrupt. No, but I just, because what I'm hearing you say, which is really, really good, and this kind of ties in back to our online question in terms of what do you do when you meet your idol, you're speaking of when somebody who wants to just come and social dance, here, hold this camera, record us. Not everybody you dance with, you want it recorded. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, yes. I'm saying, like, there's so much of that it becomes like very impersonal, or you don't want to dance with me unless you can record it. That's like way too much. You'll be like, oh, well, if I can't record, then what's the point? Really? That's been said to professional dancers before. And that's just ridiculous, you know, because we're out here trying to share and really have like connections, and sometimes, you know, the cameras just add like an extra element for some people. So, I don't know, I'm not saying stop, you know, just, you know,
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Anybody else? We're good? All right, so we had a question here.
So everything hurts. Hi guys. All right, so, and you kind of already touched on it, so I'm glad you guys did, but it's mostly for the moms in the panel, because I'm a mom of 3. Trying to
Yes, girl!
And I just had a baby 6 months ago, so it's a work in progress. So my question is, we're pushing through many things, the stereotype, the bias, and all of that. So if you're single and you go solo, you have pro, you still have the difficulty of being higher because you're female and all of this stuff. Yes, you're still trying to push through that. So what has it been like to push through that extra layer where you're not being hired because they know you're a mom and they know that you're probably gonna bring the baby or all this other stuff, or they'll say, okay, I'm not gonna even call her because I know that she just had a baby, so let me just hire this one that's single, doesn't have that carriage on her, even though the talent is there. So how have you guys managed that?
I'll let the OG mom go first.
Well, as a mama of 5, it's definitely a huge challenge to, I guess, manage both your personal life, you know, and business life. For me, myself, I took a break, and then I didn't take a break, and then I took a break, and then I was on stage 2 weeks before my due date. You know, you just kind of you have to keep pushing through it. It kind of ties in with everything else that we've been talking about as far as meeting your idols and someone coming up to you and body image. All of that ties into that because, you know, you're tired, you're breastfeeding, you know, baby doesn't sleep, you know, and then your idol, someone who idolizes you comes up to you and it's like, oh my God, and you're just like, hey, you know, and unfortunately, that also goes against you. You know, I went up to her and I said hi to her and, you know, she was just a bitch, and they don't realize that maybe you haven't slept, or maybe you just finished, you know, pumping because you had to. Maybe your baby's not there, but you're still a mom. And as far as promoters not wanting to hire you, they're the ones missing out. Because just because you're a mom doesn't mean that your talent isn't there anymore. You know, just because you've gained weight because of having a pregnancy doesn't mean the talent isn't there. Just because I'm 8 months pregnant doesn't mean I still can't teach. I still can't perform, I still can't dance. And yes, I can still wear 4-inch heels and put on a costume and get on stage at 8 months. I can still do it. It's really up to them to give you that respect, you know, and it's beautiful. It's amazing to watch a woman have a human inside her and still be able to dance. And so to the promoter that won't hire you because of that, they're the ones really missing out on that. Because to watch women on stage, even without being pregnant, and then being able to do it while pregnant is just amazing. And even after the fact, men, you don't understand how hard it is to come back and perform and teach after having a baby. The body changes, the hormones, just the pain you feel internally after giving birth. Whether you gave birth naturally or C-section, whatever the situation is, your body hurts. Us women go through a lot. What is it they say? It's like giving birth to a baby naturally, it's like the pain of 300 and something bones in your body, that same pain. It's not easy. It is not easy, but push through it. Keep pushing through it. If he's not gonna hire you, I promise you the next one will. And if he doesn't want to hire you, again, it's his loss, not yours. You have to look at it that way. You can't care, oh, they don't want to hire me because of whatever. Okay. Again, and to what Rudy was saying, compromise, I guess, is really the word that you're looking for. You know, okay, yeah, you don't want to hire me because I'm a female and I don't want to do partner work. Yeah, there is compromise, but there's some things that you shouldn't compromise. You still have to know your worth, your talent, and your passion for it. So yeah, I will compromise certain things, but there's certain things I will not compromise. You know, and promoters don't understand that sometimes. And coming back to you on what you said as where do we start, and you know, I think it was Nicki Minaj, she spoke about it one time about it has to start with us women and pushing forward and us saying no or yes or whatever it may be. A man can say no and it's okay. A woman says no and she's a bitch. It happens socially all the time. A man says no to a woman, oh, I don't want to social dance right now. Oh, okay, not a problem, I'll come back. A woman says no, she's a bitch for saying no. So yeah, we can start, we can be proactive, we can put our foot down, but at the end of the day, we're considered a bitch because we don't want to do certain things and we don't want to compromise. I'm not going to compromise who I am as a woman because it doesn't work for you. If it doesn't work for you, then I really don't care, honestly.
I mean, there's lots of reasons why these promoters are not hiring anybody, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure out this mommy work balance whole life thing. But it's really interesting because I don't even know sometimes what the expectation of the traveling artist is, right? Dance artist. Do we have to, is it in the contract that we have to be at the social till 4 in the morning, you know? Or can we just do our show, our workshop, and go down to the social when we want to? I mean, these are all questions. People don't hire you for lots of reasons, but if they don't, guess what? How did you and you and you and you get here? Your mom brought you into this world, so, you know, having a child is like a totally natural thing that everybody's having kids, right? So like not to hire somebody for that, that's crazy. You know, and then I'm also sick of people being like, oh, you're gonna stop dancing now? No, you know, I'm a dancer, like I studied dance, I went to middle school, high school, college for dance, like I'm going to dance. And after this, I'll do theatrical stuff, I'll do choreography, I'll do something in the facet of the world of dance. Like, so everybody out there, everybody out there, stop telling me, asking me when I'm gonna stop dancing, because that's just what I love to do, you know? So, I'm over that. And besides having kids, we have menstrual things that we go through every month. There's lots of issues, right?
Satan's mistress.
I'm just saying.
They're trying to take the mic from her.
Moses for Desiree.
Animal balloons.
But yes, mommy work balance is a thing. And it's very nice to have mommy OGs, Tamara, Grisel, Georgette, that are in the scene, Candy, that I can look up to be like, you know what? She is doing it, and she stays doing it, and I can do it too.
Okay, so we only have time for one more question. There's two things I want to do before we get to the last question. We have a friend here who wants to share something. But I want to share something. All the gentlemen in the room, I'm looking around, I'm looking at the faces. Some of the guys look uncomfortable as a motherfucker right now. That uncomfort you feel of like, why is it all about women right now? Why are we talking about these ladies' things? I want to talk about my shit. Well, welcome to what it's like to be a woman for the whole history of humanity. So gentlemen, if you feel uncomfortable right now, do two things. One, ask yourself, why am I uncomfortable? Is it because you gotta go to the bathroom because you had too many mimosas? Okay, that's fine. But if it's because you're like, damn, why I gotta be, what? Then now you know why we have to do this. Because until you don't go, yes, this is great. This is just as interesting to me as if they were talking about men's stuff up there, then we need to keep doing stuff like this. Okay, so, Chris, go ahead.
The whole thing. Social security number. I haven't been on a mic before, so it's kind of weird.
Closer.
Hello. This is better. So, kind of nervous. As a guy, I kind of go for the idea of this is bigger than gender. It's kind of, you have to carry yourself like she, not crying. Everybody's like, oh, he's crying. It's bigger than gender to me. When I go dance with anybody like a famous person or famous person, idol, or a regular dance with a female or a guy, I personally, if I dance with them, you're wearing a dress, I'll pull your dress down. I'll do a little shine, you do your thing. I think we can't as individuals change the world, but what we can do is inspire one person who inspires another person through your actions. And if we kind of walk around and label everything, saying, oh, well, this girl turned me down, this guy's like this, guys are like this, girls are like that, nothing changes because we've always done that. Like, that's how we've handled our problems in history. Is we kind of just say, guys are like this, girls are like this. But there's those unicorns right here that give, both in guys and girls, that give you give people what they're looking for. So those people need to inspire one person or two. And through there, that's how we make the change. If we constantly, this is my opinion, not saying like anything, but as a male, I guess, I personally go for the opposite of a male that treats people as a typical male. But the majority of the world follows the majority. So either you follow the majority or you become the difference, you become the change. And that group is going to be very small. It's not going to be big. You can't inspire, you can't change the majority. But what you can do is have the few follow you. Surround yourself with what you want to be surrounded with. And I don't know what it's like to be an artist like you guys. I try to help the younger kids meet you guys, honestly. But I tell them, I'm like, they're regular people just like us. Why do you want to be, like, not saying anything bad, but why do you want to be Alemana? Why don't you want to be you? Be the next you, not the next Alemana. Alemana's already here. Ataka's already here. You guys are already you. So the change is more of we have to change one person, and you inspire so many through small actions. Because we can't change the world as an individual, but we can create a group of people, and we can create quality events where it's not packed here, but those events that are smaller have so much more impact than those events that are big, you know? So you have to kind of, don't put genders to it. That at least my opinion is I don't put genders to things. I just be the change that I want to be, you know? I'm gonna talk to you, and if we don't vibe well, it doesn't work out, I'm gonna see you, I'm gonna treat you with respect and everything, and I keep on. And then I surround myself with people that are gonna level you up. They level you up, and you level other people up, and whoever is with you, kind of thing. And the group's not gonna be big, but it's gonna be what you guys are looking for, you know?
Right, yeah, so change definitely starts with us as individuals. I believe that too. Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Christian.
All right, last question, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up. Thank you.
Man in the mirror.
Ladies, I admire all of you, and I just thank you for sharing the stage together and demonstrating such unity as sisters. This is my question, and it's about branding as a woman, and how to determine what of your personal life is to be given to the public. And I say that because for a long time, it's just been me, and I'm getting to a stage where I'm starting to consider, hey, maybe I want to be in relationships. But the thing that bothers me is when I see stuff on social media, and people are just kind of like they actually give their opinions. And I'm like, but this is their life, who cares what you think, you know, kind of thing. But it makes me concerned that can actually impact your private life. So at what point do you determine what part of your personal life is actually put out there publicly that will assist you in branding your image?
That's a good one, Miriam. That is.
Girl, that's rough. I don't know why the mic came to me. I think this is serendipity because I suck at social media. I think it's two things. So first, maybe the perspective that you're coming from is more, what part of your personal life becomes your brand? Is that what you're asking?
Basically, how much are you willing to share?
How much are you willing to share?
Where's the threshold?
Yeah, because sometimes we don't have a business page and a personal page. You just have a page, and you're posting your salsa classes on there, and then you post your boyfriend and your, family reunion, and then they got something to say about you wore the dookie shorts to the family reunion or something. I don't know, right? But I think that's up to you.
I'm not 100% sure what dookie shorts are, so
Daisy Dukes? Is that what that
I'm not gonna say anything.
Daisy Dukes,
is? Your booty.
Or they think you could have had a dookie stain on the
She's the Mio. She's a new mom, you know what I'm saying?
I think it's up to you with how much you want to share and how much is that. Look, their brand is that they live together, they dance on stage together. That's their lives, right? So that's what they're sharing. My partner isn't,
I can guarantee they are sharing their whole lives on there, though.
Right.
No,
Exactly. It's very strategic what they're doing, and that's their brand. They know what they're pushing for their brand. And maybe you do want to start a different page if that's it. You want to keep everything separate, and your family reunion doesn't have anything to do with Salsa on Lock Studios. I just said that. But so I think
TDD.
how much you share. It's just how much you share.
Yeah, I think society is more critical of women, though, in our personal lives. So I understand why it's a risk. why it's perceived as a risk. You're right, it's a risk. However, I think today in the social media world, the one benefit of social media is that it has the potential to bring us all closer. I know that sounds corny because social media is really dangerous as well, but right now we're witnessing an opportunity for women specifically to find other women to connect with in a very personal way through social media. Because when we're in an industry, we're taught that we have to compete against each other. So this might be a good time, if you feel comfortable, to share some parts of you that might mean something to another woman or to lots of other women. And we are half of the population. We pay half of this event. So we are half of your audience as well. And that part can support you, I think, when they connect with your message. I'm gonna take that advice. Maybe.
That was awesome.
Put on an Instagram something personal.
She's like, mi mismo, gracias.
More for yourself.
I think just because George and I have been, obviously we've been together for 11 years and it's been pretty public for the most part. I love you too. You just have to remember, if you decide to share it, that's wonderful, that's amazing, and people, even if it's just one person that's going to be inspired by whatever story you decide to share, that's going to be amazing. You just have to be ready, because humans are humans, and again, hurt people hurt people. So if somebody's talking trash about your relationship, you have to be ready for that. Whatever you share, unfortunately, we're in the age of social media. And yes, your response can be like, well, I didn't ask for your opinion, and da da da, but you are sharing it. You're putting it out there. And whatever you decide to put out there, you have to be ready to accept the fact that there's going to be people that are going to talk trash about you, whether it's true or not, which 100% it's not going to be true, because just people can be very negative. But don't let that deter you from doing that. But as long as you know that, okay, it doesn't matter. I want to share this picture of my partnership, of my boyfriend, of my husband, whatever it is, of my family, whatever it is, and just be confident in that. And honestly, don't even read the comments. Why would you read the comments? What is the point of them? Comments really are there just to feed your ego.
They got like 1,000.
It's a whole novel.
What? I used to.
Miriam, her personal preference is really, I've been in, very public relationships, and I've been in very private relationships. I've been with my husband 9 years now, and yeah, I post things, but I choose what I post. We do family events, we do personal things, and I choose what I post. I don't post everything. But my personal life is my personal life. I don't, I don't mix the two. But it's my personal opinion on my personal relationship and my marriage is I choose to be personal about it. I choose to be private about it. Now, you want to post a picture with whoever it is you're having a relationship, go ahead and do it. It's nobody's business. And if they want to ask questions, you can either answer it or you don't. At the end of the day, it's your personal life, your personal relationship.
Yes. And if you have something negative to say, you say, that's great. Wednesdays at Salsa 7 Up, you can have a salsa unlocked. We can offer private lessons.
You get a discount of 20%.
Yeah, it's
Stupidcomment.com.
It just depends on what you're trying to brand. If you're trying to brand yourself, you as the person, obviously your audience will want to know you personally. If you're trying to brand you as the dancer, then only promote you as the dancer. It's what is your brand? That's the first thing, is what are you trying to sell? Because that's really what it is. When we're branding ourselves, we're trying to sell it to somebody else. So what are you trying to sell people?
Right, yeah, going on that, I think just in social media in general, you need to think about what your motivation is behind posting anything. And this goes along with a lot of the conversations that we've been having, you know, on body image, on people's opinions, on idolization and everything. And I think that we need to be careful about how we internalize any kind of comment, whether it's positive or negative, because at the end of the day, it's based on that person's life and that person's, you know, experience projecting whatever they're feeling in that moment. And we need to be careful on how we, you know, oh my God, they think we're cute, yay, now we are a good couple. No, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything if they don't like you as a couple. It doesn't mean, you just have to, I think, be in line with yourself when you are posting whatever it is you're posting, be it a flyer, be it a personal post, be it some kind of commentary on life, the community, whatever you're talking about. I think if you are in line with yourself and your motivation for why you want to share whatever it is that you're sharing, then no matter what comment comes your way, you're going to be unaffected by it. I mean, in an ideal world, right? Of course, it feels good to have a good comment, and it feels like crap to have a negative comment, but if you are in line with yourself, I think both of those will be, you will be less affected either way. At least that's how I think about it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us and sitting here, and thank you to all the queens. You ladies, we've been wanting to have this conversation for a very long time, so thank you for doing that. Thank you for everybody who tuned in on our live. Rudy and myself will be doing these talks once a month, so look forward to those, the We Talk Dance. And we will be doing interviews as well, individual interviews online and live. So thank you guys very much and enjoy your night.
All right, guys, thank you so much. If I can, yeah. Ladies, if you don't mind, we'll take a picture together.